Discord should be off, but hopefully all of you can hear me. Good. Okay, so Zolder. Some people's favorite track, some people's not favorite track. Some tips for Zolder. Be aggressive with some of the corners and the curbs. Track limits are very important on this track because if you don't abuse them, you will not have a good or a solid lap time. So by all means use the track limits to your disposal. It might be a good idea just to lift your ride height slightly, just to make sure that you get over the curbs. And we're going to start tonight from corner 1, so that's why I'm just doing on the outlap while we talk about the various pitfalls. It's quite a narrow track, difficult for overtaking, so you'll have to be wise with your decisions as to where and when and how you overtake whoever is ahead of you. We'll get to the pit lane as well in a short while. So the recording tonight, you'll see when you see the track guide, it looks a bit different. So we've got the POV and the chase cam both together so that you can see the line of the car on track as well. So it's not only from inside the car, but also the chase cam as well. Okay, so on the start finish line, place your car on the right hand side, close to the wall as possible. And you want to look out for these Coke Zero signs on the right hand side. Now you'll see right in front of my nose there's a big white zero sign, and then just ahead of it there's a zero sugar white sign, and then a zero sign again. So your brake marker is actually just as you pass this second last big zero, around about here. That's going to be your brake marker. And the important thing is, many of these corners, don't be tempted to turn in too early. This corner specifically, as well as the one after this, very important to trail it in. You just want to scrub enough speed just to be able to get to the apex, and then you want to be on throttle again. So you're going to be probably coming down here in 5th gear, I think, and you're going to be shifting down to 3rd in the Aston. I think it's 3rd in the Porsche as well. And you're going to brake, shift down 2, and then you're sort of just going to just let the brake slide a little bit. Just come off it slightly, just so that the nose grips up, and you'll be able to bring in the nose just to touch the apex. You don't necessarily want to go over this curb on the inside. You just want to be gently on the brakes, bring it in so that you can just be in this area right here. Once you get to this apex, you want to be on throttle already. So as soon as you get here, stomp the throttle, and if the car's nice and settled, you should be able to find your way over to the right hand side of the track, roughly in this position here. Track limits are quite forgiving in this case, so make sure you go over this green part, use all of the road. Then you're going to switch it back to the left hand side. Now this is, for some people, this corner is quite a difficult one, but I'm going to give you a little tip. I want you to have a look at the line on the edge of the track, and you'll see round about here is where the line starts to curve for the corner, and this will be your braking marker. Same story. Well, in the Aston I go down to 2nd gear, in the Porsche I think I remained in 3rd. So once again, you're going to brake, bring it down the gears, and then trail it in. And as soon as you are settled in and you'll make the apex, you want to be on throttle. It opens up nice and wide after this apex. So don't be too afraid to get on the throttle. I won't say early, but don't be afraid to get on the throttle and let the car run wide. Because it looks much narrower in the corner than it is on the exit. So you're going to stomp on the brakes, trail it in, lifting slowly off the brakes. And you just want to make sure you get the nose in maximum amount of speed, momentum, just to get to this apex. Once again, don't necessarily go over the curb because it will unsettle you, and you need all the traction you can get for the exit of this corner. So once you get to this position, on the throttle, let it run nice and to the edge, and then take the shortest straight line, which is just next to that curb, and let it run out wide to the exit on this side. Here, place your car right on the edge of the track on this side, and you'll be looking for this first little access road on your left. As soon as you pass this, roughly about this position, this is where you're just going to give a quick stab on the brakes. You can trail it in if it helps you just to keep the car stable. In the Aston, I do go down a gear. I don't think I did in the Porsche though. But the idea is you just want to give a quick stab on the brake in a straight line. And by the time you get to the second little access road on the left, that's when you want to start to turn in. And you want to carry as much speed as possible. The idea here is to get as close as possible to the inside curb here. You can ride it a bit, although I will not recommend riding the grass. If you're going to clip something, just make sure that you use only the curb part and not the grass part. Careful not to run too wide here, but if you time it correctly, you'll end up nicely on the outside of the track, but just be mindful that there's very little room between the curb on this side and the sand. And any touch of the sand will, for one, slow you down tremendously, and for two, it will make you lose pressure in your tires as well. So make sure that you do that. So you'll end up somewhere around here, and now we get to everybody's favorite corners. So you stay on the over to the right hand side. Now there's two boards or two markers that I want you to have a look at. The first one is the 100-meter board, around about there. So there's the 100-meter board, and just past it is sort of a lamppost. This lamppost right there in front. So these are the two markers that you want to keep in mind as you approach this corner. So I go past the 100-meter board. I brake just before that lamppost. Now, attacking this corner is somewhat of a mixed bag, depending on your car setup for one, as well as what car you are driving. Now, guys like the Ferrari and those guys, maybe the Beamer as well, they can launch straight over the curbs. I find it a bit risky. So that's why this is a track guide for humans and not for aliens. So I find that in most cars that I've driven on this track, it is easier to cut the first one and sort of clear the second one. It is much more stable. It doesn't lose too much time, but it relies on one very important thing, and that is you have to turn in late. Now, this corner is one that always gets you on your nerves. So the temptation is always there to get in and get it done as quickly as possible. But you have to steer clear of that urge and just hold on for a little while longer. So you're going to be hard on the brakes coming down to second gear. And all in the straight line. Brake hard, brake hard. And once you get to second gear, people are tempted to turn in roughly here. You say, okay, now we're going to take the corner. But you'll see, if you take the corner here, then you are basically lined up with both bumps in a straight line, and that's not going to be the ideal situation. So what I want you to do is just hold on a little bit longer. Just a little bit longer. And while you're still on the brakes will help you. Just turn in a little bit later, so that when you cut this thing like this, you're cutting the same amount as that you would have cut when you turn in early. But as soon as you open your steering now, you can see that you'll miss that bump on that side, and you can just go straight over like this. So it's once again is one of those situations where you want to focus on the first corner, forget about the second one. So get your car turned in, open the steering straight, and then just go straight. If you turn in late enough and you turn in sharply enough, then you won't have to worry about the second curb. Might be an option for those of you who are not too comfortable, or you're in something like a McLaren or a plow or something. Might be a good thing just to avoid going for that second one. I know the aliens, they've got the ability to sort of just fly over both of them, and it's amazing and everything. But I just find it's a bit too risky. It's a bit 50-50 call whether you're going to land and it's going to be stable or not, or you're going to bounce and slide. So that will be my suggestion, just to have it stable and consistent for you to be able to work with that lap time, whatever it may be. Then here, just place the car in the middle of the track. Follow the line as short as possible. And as soon as this road straightens up, you'll see the tarmac becomes black. This is the only real brake marker you have. Luckily, the track is dry, so you can see it. In the wet, it's a different story. But once again, you want to be able to cut as much of these, the upcoming chicane as possible. And you'll be amazed at how much you can actually cut. And in order to get a good lap time, it is important that you do so. So you're going to go down to second gear through both of these corners, and we're going to take them one by one. So first thing is you're going to be hard on the brakes all the way down to second gear, and here you want to turn in early. Your brain says to you, don't, but you want to turn in early because you only need to keep your inside tires on the red and white curb. So something like this is still fine. So here you want to have that situation where as soon as you turn in, you want to line up both of them in a straight line. Where with the first one, we wanted to turn in later so that we can sort of, when we turn in, we avoid the second one. In this case, we want to sort of line them up so that by the time you get here and you open your steering, you can go straight over the next one. And once again, the same with this one. Your inside wheels, which is the wheels on the right hand side in this case, only needs to be on the red and white curb. So you can go straight over it like this. And it's actually, that's the line you want to take because you're sort of straight lining it. So turn it in such a way that as soon as you turn in and you straighten your wheels, you sort of straight line both of them. And your inside wheel goes over the red and white on the first one, and then the other inside wheels just go over the red and white on the second one. As soon as you hit these curbs, then you can start already bringing your car around, and you'll see there's a little area here where the sand and the curbs get together. This little corner here in the front left of the windscreen. That's sort of the point you want to aim for with your inside left wheel. So that you want to cross over that point right there. That's where you want to cross over. And you'll see the time is still valid at the top. So this is where you want to cross over. Then you want to give a quick squirt on the throttle. Just stay in the middle of the track. And just before you turn in for this corner, you want to have a little lift. Just to bring the nose in and help the car rotate. Most of the cars don't really like those two sausage curbs on the inside. So I would advise you to avoid them as far as possible. And just a little lift to help the rear come around and the nose grip up, and then flat on the throttle as soon as you pass this curb. Let it run all the way to the left hand side, and here you have to be late with your turn in. So you're going to wait on this curb and on the outside until this curb ends, and only then you're going to bring the car in. And it's important that you put your inside wheel on the inside of this curb, and this is going to be flat out. Don't lift. You want to put your inside wheel right on this inside curb. And the car, there's nice camber here, everything works in your favor. And you'll naturally end about this area here. And this is going to be full throttle all the way. Then you just keep it in the straight line as much as possible. And now we get to this brake marker. So most people will agree that the 100-meter board is roughly where the brake marker is. The problem is if you're driving in cockpit view, you lose sight of the board. So it's not always that easy. Now, I do not know if this will show on your screen depending on your graphic settings, but I use a little piece of grass right in front of the nose there. There's a little patch of grass that grows into the tarmac. I don't know if you can see it, but you need an upgrade. But it's a tiny piece of grass. That's what I use as my brake marker. It doesn't move, it doesn't go away, nobody can crash it out, but there's a little piece of grass. If you check the track guide, you'll be able to. Yeah, it's not that difficult, man. There's a little piece of grass right there. There's a little piece of grass right there. In any case. Okay, but yeah, so it's roughly just after the black rubber starts. Now this, you want to be hard on the brakes and you want to trail in this little last part at the hairpin, just to get the ass around. But you also want to sort of turn in late so that you can cut across the little last part of the inside curb. So you're going to be hard on the brakes, hard on the brakes. You're going to go down to first gear and then get a nice late turn in, so that by the time you turn in right there on the apex, you want to be on full throttle, so that as you apply throttle, you can open the steering and then just follow the curves around. Stay on the right hand side of the track, and we're almost done with the lap. So once again, you have the 100-meter board, and then just after it, there's one of those lampposts. So I brake just before the lamppost again, like at that other corner. And here, once again, you want to cut as much as possible of the first corner, and then sort of move to the middle of the track for the second one. So it's not going to be cut the first one all the way to the outside. So you want to cut it in late, but you want to cut as much possible of this first corner, and then you want to sort of end up in the middle of the track. So I brake at that lamppost there, hard on the brakes, down to second gear, and then you bring it in late so that you can get right over this part. These curves aren't that bad, and you're still going to be valid as well. You want to get right over these ones. Keep on steering until you're about halfway in the track. So don't open it up like you would have done for the others, because there's a nasty little bump on the inside on this last corner that you want to avoid. So you want to end up in the middle of the track. Just give a quick squirt and then off the throttle again to help with the rotation, so that you can just stay on the cement and curb part. This little grass piece, little hooky here on the inside, that creates a lot of it unsettles the car quite a lot. So just for your own safety. And then as soon as you get here, on the throttle, and around you go. So we're going to do it slightly bit faster. So we're looking for the second last Coke Zero sign, third gear. As soon as you get to the apex, hard on the throttle, over to the left hand side. Here where the road starts to turn, you just want to get onto that apex on the inside, then on the throttle, let it run wide at the first access road, down a gear, wait for the second one to turn in. As soon as you clip the apex, on the throttle. Now we're going to come to this one. We're waiting just for that lamppost. Cut the first one, open the steering straight through, and only then do you turn right. No drama, no fuss. Stay to the left hand side. Cut the first one straight over the second one. Aim for that little piece of sand. Lift off that the hours can come in. On the throttle all the way through. Stay to the left hand side. I'm looking for my little piece of grass right there. Cut that little last part of the inside. Straight line this corner as much as possible. Wait for the lamppost just after the 100-meter mark. Over this inside, in the middle of the track, quick lift, and then back on the throttle just to get you around. And now we put in a quick one for reference. If it works out, normally I spin. So you want to just clip that part on the throttle and invalidate the lap already, that's fine. Where the road turns, as soon as you're through the corner, get on the throttle, it opens nice and wide there. Just keep it nice and tight, wait for the access road, brake, down a gear. As soon as you come to the apex, on the throttle, gently over to the right hand side. We're going to brake at that lamppost, down to second gear, turn in late so that you can just open the steering and then straight through. Don't worry about the second part of the chicane. Stick to the inside, wait for the black. Cut the first one straight over that one, bring it in. Just a small lift to get the nose in. Full throttle, keep it tight. Wait for my little piece of grass. I missed the apex there a bit. Okay, so now we're looking at the pit entry. So the pit entry during the race, be careful, because the guys that are going into the pits are not going to brake at the same place that you're going to brake to make the corner. So the brake marker for the pit entrance is just as you pass this start of this curb here on the right hand side. You're going to hit hard on the brakes, down to second gear, hard on the brakes here, hard on the brakes. Turn in, take this corner, quick squirt on the throttle, and as soon as you pass this red and white wall on the inside, left, that is where you brake to make your marker. So quick squirt on the throttle, and then then you engage the limiter. The exit, also very important. It's quite a tricky exit. You can actually quite easily screw up your whole lap. So we'll do a quick drive through and just show you the exit as well. So the exit, there's a little marker that I use. So you're going to be as much as throttle as possible coming out of the pits, which is all fine. But for when you're rejoining the track, it might be a bit difficult. So as you get to the line, we disengage the limiter. Don't be too eager in this part of the track, because you can lose. So you'll see the little access road on the right. So as soon as you pass the last part of this access road, this is where you get on the brakes, go down a gear to about second, and be on the brakes, and then you should be able to rejoin the track nicely, get your apex, and you'll still be able to get on throttle with the other cars on the track. So in a nutshell, that is Zonky Zolder for you. Hopefully that'll help. I'll put the track guide up. At least we've got 2 camera angles now, and should be interesting. Just remember those turning points, this corner specifically, turning late and then straighten the wheel. And then you just bring the car back on track after that second curve. Don't be too focused on the second part. This one as well, make sure you straight line it. Quick squirt, lift, back on the throttle, wait for the curve at the end, and then just hold the line and it'll work out nicely for you. Any questions? Comments, suggestions? Hopefully that answers some of the questions that you've had for this track. Maybe you've been struggling with one of the corners, but that's chicane. But go and try that now. See if it works for you. Once you get the line, and you realize that part about just cut the first one, straighten for the second one, then it'll be so much easier. You won't have that oh shit moments as you come to that corner, because it's one of the nerve-wracking corners. It's almost like Eau Rouge for some people. So yeah, that is it.